Welcome to the Growth Buyer Podcast, where we engage with top business leaders who share their experiences and provide real insights that help them attract customers, retain staff, and grow their bottom line. Now, let's get started with the show. Hi there, I'm Mark Reifman, the host of the show, where I feature inspiring business leaders from various backgrounds and industries willing to share their perspectives on healthy cultures and motivated teams. This episode is brought to you by Spinutech. Spinutech is a premium digital growth agency that specializes in revitalizing lead generation strategies and accelerating online sales for top brands. To learn more, go to spinutech.com. Today we have Scott Maroney. Scott is the president and co-owner of Crazy Shirts. Scott has over 25 years in the retail industry, starting his career in outlet shopping malls with Phillips-Van Heusen, to operating 14 Champs sports stores, which is owned by Foot Locker Inc., across Hawaii, Nevada, and Utah, to running a visitor-based company with Crazy Shirts. Scott's primary experience is in retail management, training and development, visual merchandising, marketing, running brick and mortar stores, direct-to-consumer or e-commerce, and now operating a vertical company. In 2017, Scott was recognized as one of PBN's 40 Under 40. Scott is also very active with Retail Merchants of Hawaii and has served as their chair from 2016 to 18. And in 2019, Scott was recognized as Retailer of the Year. With that, Scott, welcome. I'm super pumped to have you. We've known each other for a little bit, but this is going to be a really fun conversation day. So welcome.
Thank you. Aloha.
Yes, aloha. I have to tell you a funny story about aloha. So the second time my wife and I went to Maui, we stopped at the Walmart right away to get groceries. And somebody that was working in the Walmart said, aloha. And I was a little bit scrambled and I said, hola, back to them. And instantly it was like, I just said hola instead of aloha. And so I walked and found my wife and she got a good kick out of that. And I was very embarrassed, which is hard for me to do. All right. Didn't plan on telling that story, but we got it out there now. All right. My favorite first question to always ask is, when you wake up in the morning, you're walking to your desk, what would be that walk-up song or entrance song playing in your head every morning to get you going?
Yeah, it has to be Lose Yourself by Eminem. I'm a
that's good.
I listened to it today.
There you go. That's great. So, okay, awesome. So you listen to a little pump-up music in the morning. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as I shared with you, this is a podcast about culture, core values, and we also almost always feature YPOers. So I'd love to understand your journey. You know, when did you get into YPO? What was your business journey to that point? You've got a colored background with a lot of amazing experience. So maybe just give us a little bit of that and your entry point to YPO.
Sure. Entry point into YPO was in 2018. So I'm about 6 years in. How that started was in 2008, I joined Crazy Shirts as the retail director and moved my way up, got to really know the owners, and they got a lot of trust in me. And eventually in 2016, promoted me to president, and also I was able to buy part of the company where the ownership came in. And my business partner, has been in YPO for over 25 years. So for him, it was a no-brainer for me to join YPO and to get into it right away, because obviously the connections and the education and the resources in YPO is incredible. I would do that for whoever's going to replace me one day. I'm going to be doing the same thing. They're good. YPO has got to be part of what they do. And I participate as much as I can with YPO. I'm informed. I go to a lot of events, mainly around retail manufacturing. So I try to participate as much as I can in anything with YPO.
Awesome. All right. So Crazy Shirts, people could probably fill in the blank with a lot of different thoughts. But if you're going to get in an elevator with me, I see your shirt you're wearing right now. And I said, hey, Crazy Shirts, what is that? What do you guys do?
Yeah, I would say we're a premium t-shirt brand that really started in Hawaii. High quality. We're all about the artwork. I would say we were a visitor brand up until 2020. Most of our stores are in high resort areas, 20 stores in Hawaii, Key West, Sarasota, Vail, Vegas, up and down California. But really where high-end resorts are, Four Seasons, and really popular areas for visitors. So we really cater to vacation type of customers. That has evolved a little bit since 2020. Where we had to pivot because Hawaii was shut down for 18 months. But if you were to ask me up until we're 60 years this year, which is pretty incredible. But I would say we're a very high-end premium shirt that was catering to visitors, but now is catering to connection. We kind of everything we do now is about a connection. Whatever we sell, we want it to be a connection from one person to another. Some of our biggest selling products is Father Day shirts. And, that's a big, big thing for us. Grandfather shirts, Americana shirts, Grateful Dead shirts now. So today I would say we're really about a brand about connecting people to each other.
Awesome. So you have a very spread out workforce, as a lot of people do today, but I mean, you cover a lot of time too, time zone wise. And so, when you think about your core values and your culture that you try to create, as the leader, how do you think about that? How do you try to instill that? I'm assuming you have somewhat of a retail tends to have a higher turnover rate. So you got a lot of new people coming in and out. So as a leader, how do you think about culture and core values and trying to make that a very constant theme for everybody?
Yeah, I think we always start. I've been in Hawaii for 24 years now, and really understanding Hawaii to me is such a different culture overall than anywhere else in the U.S. And I'm not just talking about crazy shirts, I'm just talking about culture, period, where family truly is number one. It's the one place where I was like, yeah, it is truly number one, that family atmosphere, the ohana, that's really it's about. And I think what we try to do to our best ability is create that right at the gate with whoever's working for us. Yeah, you're correct. There might be a 50% turnover in retail, but no matter who joins us, we try to really, really hard to let them know not only are they joining an organization that's been around for 60 years, that they're also joining a family. And we're going to do our best to make sure that they are taken care of to our best ability. I will say something special about being in retail, and I've been in retail my whole life. As you mentioned at the beginning, I've been so impressed with how long we've had retail store managers. We have about 30 stores now, and I would say 25 of them have been with the company for over 10 years. And that's really rare, really rare. And I'm even talking about stores in Key West. Our Key West manager has been with the company for 30 years. And so that has been really impressive to me that we've been able to build this culture before me, with me, and going forward about they just want to stay with the brand. I think it really comes down to that loyalty of, really making sure they know they're taken care of as a family member when that needs to happen. And, we've been through so much in my time. I've been 16 years now since '08. I mean, I started the next day the economy crashed. And I feel like everything we've done through all the different things of hurricanes and pandemics and fires and all that, when it comes down to it, we really, really do our best to turn ourselves from business people to being family members. And I think that's really what the culture is. We fight it every day. We still got to run a business, but we really try to instill that in everything we do.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned, so you've had some pretty big challenges, and I mentioned this before we did the interview, but I think that somebody in leadership, having gone through what you guys just went through in August of last year with the Lahaina fires, it's a test on so many levels. And so maybe, if you can walk through, in the moment, what you had to think about versus now reflecting on it, 8 months later, what you would say about it, or 6 months later.
Yeah, I mean, to be transparent, every time I talk about it, it's still hard to this day. But I'll never forget where I was. I was home in Hawaii when it happened. I'm all over the country a lot of the times. I happened to be home. I was actually having a late lunch with my wife, and we were sitting there having lunch, and I got it was August 8th. And I got the phone call around 2:30 that the power had gone out in our Lahaina stores. And we have 4 stores within a 3-mile radius from Lahaina to Kaanapali. And the power went out. In typical environment, we would just wait around a little bit. It's in the middle of the day, so you can still see. And we would wait around a little bit, even be open, because you can do manual transactions in retail, right? So why close where everyone's around? And they said that it was a little weird that other stores were starting to close. And I'm like, well, that's unusual. So I said, well, let's just be patient for about 15, 20 minutes and call me back. I was talking to the retail director. She calls me back 15 minutes later and says there's a fire. And I said, okay, well, where's the fire? And it's in the beginning of Lahaina, so south side of Lahaina. And I said, okay, well, how serious is it? And she goes, well, people are starting to head home. So I said, you know what? No problem. Let's send our entire staff home. Let them be safe. Let's stay there. I would say about 25 minutes later or so, I get another phone call saying Lahaina's on fire. And I think at that moment, you can't really comprehend what that even means. So the first question in my mouth was, well, what does that mean? What do you mean Lahaina's on fire? Like, is there a couple sections on fire? Is it in the upper mountains? Like, where is it? No, electrical pole, and it's on fire. We were having like 90-mile-an-hour winds. There was a hurricane, I think, south of us going on at the time. So the wind was very severe. So I still couldn't comprehend what it meant Lahaina's on fire. But then she said they're evacuating everybody. I said, okay, get everyone out, make sure they're safe. If they need to go to the south side where we have a store, we can have them there. I'll start calling around. I do have YPO friends all over Maui, which, again, another reason why YPO is amazing is I called them up and said, hey, what's going on? I heard there's fires. Yeah, Lahaina's on fire, literally on fire. Buildings are on fire. And your heart just kind of drops. You're like, I've been doing business there for 15 years. Crazy Shirts has been there for over 55 years. And you know that they're all wood buildings, dry. It's been a dry time of the year. So in your mind, you start going, okay. And the brush has been a problem. They're overgrown stuff for a very, very long time. So you start putting together like how it can be on fire. And so I just remember saying, number one thing, let's just make sure our people are safe, get them out of there, call me back when everyone's out of the city. And we had about 20 employees that live in a 2x2 radius of Lahaina. That's like their life. They're the type of people where they live and they walk to work or they ride their bike to work, maybe go surf for a little bit, come back to work. So their whole community, their whole life is in that little area. So we got them out, and one of my YPO buddies that runs a boat company that you're aware of, he started sending me pictures because he was trying to get his boats out of the harbor. He had 6 boats there, trying to get them out of the harbor. And, the small community of YPO, YPO only, here are some of the images of going on in Lahaina. And it was surreal. I couldn't believe it. I mean, couldn't even see the town. It was just a cloud of black smoke. And luckily, I was able to get a lot of updates of what's going on. He was I consider him a hero. He was one of the guys that was in the front line doing everything he can to get people out of there. And yeah, it was just a really moment of, you felt a little bit helpless because I was on Oahu. I couldn't do anything except just give direction to the best I can to get people out of that. And in that moment, I don't even think we cared. I personally didn't even care about the store, what was going on with the store. It was just get the people out of there. And yeah, once we got them out of there, the world changed by the hour for the next, I would say, month at least, even to this day, to a moment. But every hour, especially for the first week, was just kind of a nightmare because we lost communication with like 4 people for a week. They just couldn't get a hold of us. And so you're just stressed about where are they? Are they safe? Luckily, in the end, everyone was safe, but never experienced anything like that in my entire life. And honestly, didn't even care about what was going on with the company at the time. It was just, where are these people that I've known in my time for 15 years, 16 years? Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a very inside look at it. So thank you. I know it's not easy. Okay. So reflecting on that, I think you responded really, really, I mean, that's just a very human response, which I think is what it should be, that's the way you got to respond in that moment. So that kudos for that. But in reflection now, like when you were able to put the emotional side of it aside, like what's the leadership instincts that start to kick in of like, okay, how do we support these people that are work family and run a business? When, like making that shift, kind of what were some of the things you started to think about?
Yeah, I mean, it happened very much the next day. We just lost 2 stores for sure. We got confirmation that 2 stores were gone, like gone to the ground. One we were unsure about. The first reaction is, okay, we got to do what we can to support the people that are in Lahaina. But you're correct. We gotta run a business still, right? We gotta recover from this. And the hard part about that moment was we were just finally getting recovered from the pandemic. A lot of people forget that, Hawaii took 18 months to recover from the pandemic, not 3 months like the rest of the country, so to speak. And so we were just getting our feet back underneath us. Everything was rolling good. It felt great again. And then to have this happen. And I think the hardest part for me as a leader was going around telling everyone that doesn't live on Maui what's going on and what we got to do to support them, but also make sure that we're running the day-to-day business. And the great thing about our team is they are family first as well. And I'll never forget this. Late that night on August 8th, one of the employees said, "Hey, we got to start raising money." One of my directors said, "We got to start raising money. We got to be prepared to support these guys." And we had a T-shirt developed and made the next day. And I was very sensitive about it because do you really want to put that out there after this just happened? But our culture in the past we've always done that. Whether we've done it for Hurricane Harvey, we've done it for the hurricanes in Florida, we've done it for past hurricanes in Hawaii, we did it for the earthquake in Chile or the tsunami in Japan. We've always done it. Yeah. That's what we've done. So I approved it. And we immediately put it online the next day. And I'm like, oh, we'll maybe sell 200 or 300 of these shirts for support. And it was 5,000. So wow. I had to turn around and rush to our Colorado facility because that's where we're printing the shirts to stop everything we're doing to start producing these shirts that everyone wanted to support, to create the proceeds. We announced where the money was going to go and really to make sure that that was taken care of. That moment brought the company together again, right? In terms of, hey, everyone, we're going to go do this. We're also going to make sure we run the day-to-day so the business is going to survive. And we're going to support both. And, this is in the middle of August where we're pretty busy traditionally as a, visitor-based company. And everyone basically stopped what they're doing to help that. What was also incredible is I had to get on the phone with everybody, right? The store managers, the whole organization. Thank God for technology now. Zoom's so easy or whatever you're using to say, hey, everyone jump on a call. Let's do a video call. I brought in the other partners as well. We had a heart-to-heart and said, but we really need you guys to go to work every day and really, pandemic all over again, give it your all because we're going to need to replace these cells. And they all did. We saw surging sales in Waikiki, Kauai, Big Island, even on the mainland. And just that motivation just inspired them to just do a good job. And what was great about it is I didn't have to worry about the sales because they took care of it. And that was a great moment for our organization when you have that feeling of they're doing everything they can to make sure they're driving the sales. Our online's doing everything, our digital's doing everything they can to drive sales. It allows you then to sit back and go, okay, how are we going to get through this moment of losing, 2 of our top 5 stores in the company? So it was a great moment in terms of that part. And again, it brought back our culture of, when you need to come together, you come together and you take care of it.
That's really cool. So many good points in there. Again, thank you for sharing. This is really good stuff. So as you reflect now, how do you turn some of that energy, the momentum into an all day, everyday thing? Because it's easy to rally behind that, obviously. Have you maybe taken some things or noticed some things out of that you're like, okay, we really need to just push on that more every day to continue that type of feeling?
Yeah, we're actually going through that right now. I feel like as an organization, we're going through a big transition right now that came out of partly the pandemic, but really the fires. And it was really changing our mindset, especially for me, to get out of the day-to-day and go back to being a true leader to grow the business. And after that moment, after we got it calmed down a little bit, and I just want to throw in, we opened the Cannery Lahaina store last Monday, which was this Monday actually. So I was so happy that we got that store back open, and everyone was so excited. I actually was there on Monday and opened it, and then left on Tuesday. But it made me realize that I need to go back to the day-to-day is taken care of by the team, right? And sometimes as a leader, you get pulled into the day-to-day and you get pulled into the weeds because you have to, or something's happened. And then you realize, holy, whatever, I can't get out of this. I can't get out of the weeds because they start depending on you to be there every day, to walk the shop floor every day, to see what's going on in the stores, to ask questions about the day-to-day, where pre-2020, I barely asked about the day-to-day. And so at that moment, it made me realize, and I was talking to one of my partner's going, I got to go back to growing the business and going back to making sure Crazy Shirts is around for the next 60 years. And really, that's what I've been focused on ever since is kind of step aside. Sorry about that. Somebody's calling me on Ring Central. Step aside on worry about the day to day. We have a great team. And that really reminded me that our executive team are truly great leaders. Let them do what they do and let me go back to doing what I'm doing. And that's figuring out how to grow the business for the future of the company. And that's really been our mission. As you know, we've been talking to you guys, but also just in general, we're doing a massive executive retreat in about a month from now and really trying to get a lot of things in. So, you know, we built a new warehouse, a new manufacturing plant. We changing all our software right now. So everything's exciting because we're like, we got to go back to growth, not survival. And I'm more comfortable there. The team likes it. It's fun. So that moment was we got to get back to having fun and get out of the day to day and really, really figure out how we're going to grow the business. That's been a great company for a very long time.
Love that. Okay, you made me think of something. I imagine in these challenging times, you know, it's an opportunity for people you see who they really are. And do you have a story or two that comes to mind of somebody that unexpectedly rose up to a higher level than you ever thought they were maybe even capable of and have stepped up in a big way that's really helped you out?
Yeah, I would definitely say the VP of HR and actually my VP of marketing, both of them really, the HR had to go through so much. You know, she was the one communicating with the team constantly, making sure everyone was okay, finding every resource possible to support them in any way they can. And I mean, she completely blew my mind away, just following up constantly, but at the same time, still managing through what is a difficult time in our industry, which is staffing. And still coming to me every day and going, hey, let's try this. Let's try this new different method of trying to recruit or trying to have better retention. Let's do this program. So she really put on two hats during that time, you know, her regular HR duties. But I think she also kind of got that moment of we got to be better in terms of dealing with today's environment because it's not challenging anymore. It's just a new norm, right? It's just the way it is with staffing frontline employees. And in that moment, I think that was when it happened. It was like, we can't ever assume it's going to go back to pre-2020 of the way staffing is. We gotta really look at what it's going to be like going forward and how can we be different as a low mid-tier business. You know, we're a pretty good tier in Hawaii, but overall we're kind of low mid-tier. And she really opened up her mind and started bringing a lot. She asked to go to training courses. She wants to learn how to be a coach for leadership teams and even a CEO, president. So we invested in all those things, and she's really stepped up and really being something. And then on our marketing side, you know, Darcy, our VP of marketing, she's been challenged because obviously there's so much going on in the digital world to improve our business, but really swung to saying how can she also help the retail stores maximize their business because she is of marketing, not just of digital. And so she really did a lot of homework, a lot of things. You know, we were coming up on our 60th anniversary. She's like, we got to do fun stuff to really make sure the customers know that we really appreciate them. And really, we've done a lot of initiatives this year, which has been great. And so those two are really big. But I will say, not to be long-winded, and I apologize, the person that kind of came out of the woodworks the most was our store manager out of Whalers. She's been with the company for over 30 years. She's had, you know, a long career with us. She's worked at many stores in Maui. She went over to Kauai for a little while to be an area manager. What she did for our brand and our image and our company is just incredible. So she was actually one of the ones that we had a hard time getting a hold of. And then when we did, all she cared about was helping everybody else, regardless of her own well-being. Whatever she had to do, and also the company. And I'll never forget this. This was probably about a month into it. And Whalers Village was like, we need to open. We need to have an environment where people can come to. Whalers survived the fires. And they needed a place. They wanted to have a place where people could come to. And you know, serve food, just have the stores open, care about sales. Let's just have a community. And Everyone said no. Every retailer, everybody said, it is way too soon. We are not doing this. And Cassie, I called her and said, hey, the mall would really like this. Let's just do 12 to 4 or whatever you're comfortable with. She said, I'll be there. I will be there. FEMA's starting to come in. Red Cross is starting to come in. People are starting to get put up in hotels. We are that brand. We're that brand that we're going to be there for the community as much as our own people. And she actually did 10 to 4 every day by herself for like a month, and just showed up to the store to be open. We'd have water, just to be a community person, talk story, share experiences, be somewhere people can go. And, a couple of days we actually did some business because the FEMA people were like, holy cow. And we have Lahaina shirts, and it was really a special moment. So for her to do that when everybody else in the center was no, I mean, she got yelled at by other store managers and district managers of other company because they thought it was wrong for us to do that. And she didn't think it was wrong. She kept flipping it. It was a community thing. We're not trying to make money. We're trying to establish a place where people can go for a little while to just release the thought of what's going on down the street. That was pretty special.
Those are great examples. One of the things you mentioned about this is the new norm. What I've told our team is the plays that we were running for the game we were playing a few years ago don't work anymore. We've got to develop a new playbook because the game has changed. And so if you're going to win the game, you got to run different plays. And so I think that I agree with you completely on that. Drawing it back to YPO a little bit, throughout this and any other tragedies, I joined in 2018 too. So you're pretty deep with your forum. I imagine you've got some deep connections. And I'm also guessing your local members had some relatable experiences with this as well and situations. So how did Forum help you through this? Where obviously in the moment you're using some connections, but what about Forum? How has that helped you personally through this, the last 7-8 months?
Yeah, well, Forum's the greatest gift I've ever received outside of getting married and having my children, to be honest with you. And I would even take it back, before the fires, also the pandemic, going through that. My forum's been together for most of this time. We have a couple of new members, but 5 of us have been together this entire time, and obviously different businesses. And where I am blessed is 2 of my forum members are on Maui. And we are one of the rare forums in Hawaii that we actually have a few people from each island. So we have 1 from the Big Island, 2 on Maui, and then 3 of us on Oahu. And we kind of bounce around. And the reason why it was so special to have them in it is because 2 of them were involved in the fires and they were frontline the next day. They were the very few people that got access into Lahaina. And because of that and my connection to them, I knew what was going on almost every minute of the day. And they were sharing their stories. I would even be like, guys, should I come over? And they're like, Scott, no, do what you can, run your business. But, I shipped over like 4 pallets of clothing over to one of my formates that was doing all the collections of donations and getting water. He actually went to Costco and basically bought out Costco with the water and any supplies they could get and drive truckloads into Lahaina. Now, he's blessed because he owns a construction company who is actually doing the cleanup of Lahaina at this moment, and he's my formate. So I was very, very blessed to have those 2, especially that were such on the front line and giving me updates all the time because it was easier for me than to pass on information that I was allowed to, that didn't break YPO confidentiality, to our team to keep them way ahead of Forum, what was the truth versus what was going on in the news or the media or whatever. This was real life stuff. And then, of course, my other formates, another one also lost. I have one, he was not my formate, but I have a friend that lost basically their entire business was in Lahaina. He owned buildings and retail there, and it was gone. And he was one of the first phone calls I made. And even him being so strong, saying, it's a tragedy for sure, and nothing's ever going to replace it, but it'll be okay. And when people tell you that, you get a little bit of sign of hope, and then I can pass that on. but form, gets you through those dark days. I truly believe that, no matter what's going on. And it's where you can let everything out and not worry about it and be safe. And so, yeah, I mean, really the last 4 years form, I would say if I didn't have it, I don't know what my life would have been like. It's truly been a blessing. They're incredible people. No one else in my form besides Gabe, who has a boat company, he lost a lot too. They're coming back. They're surging. They're doing great right now. But we are both in that moment. I have other businesses, right? Other stores. He didn't. So he was in the moment of this could end for me. And so really talking through all those things as well. And what he did to help his company overcome that has been absolutely incredible. But as there's nothing like form ever.
For sure. That's awesome. I love the examples and really those are the situations forum's built for. It's the cheat code, right? You can lean into those people, and whether you just need to talk and have some people listen, or if they can truly give you a perspective that, it's never as bad as it seems and it's never as good as it seems. And so it's good to be reminded of that by your forum mates sometimes. So they are truth tellers. They will not, tell you what you want to hear.
Well, and what's interesting about Forum, my first 2 years was really, we met every month. We did our retreats once a year. It was kind of casual. So I would say since the pandemic, we're talking every week sometimes for even just a 30-minute check-in on Zoom. And it was starting to fade away a little bit post-pandemic. I mean, during the pandemic, we were talking every week. There was 3 of us that were like, oh my God, what are we going to do, right? And we needed each other to bounce what was going on. The other good thing about Forum is we're talking about what's going on with the government, what's going on, right? Like how we want to handle this stuff. And, we were just starting to fade away from our weekly meetings and going back to our monthly meetings and our retreat. And then the fire happened and it went right back. It was like, what just happened here? And, but the fact that Forum gives you as much as you need and when you need it at any given moment, it's just absolutely magical, in my opinion.
So my mind goes to, you talked about retreats. You guys live in like one of the best places on earth. So where does a forum that's based in Hawaii go on retreat?
Yeah. Well, we actually did our last retreat on Maui because we wanted to give to Maui and we really wanted to have it there. One of my friends owns a pretty nice property out there. But, we have been piggybacking, to be honest with you, off of our presidential retreats of Hawaii. So we kind of just been going wherever that is. So whether we go to Japan, we do Japan. We went to Austin a few years ago. We just did it in Austin. So we'll just extend it. That's how we've been operating it. And then, we did Seattle one year, LA. So I think what we've been doing historically has just been piggybacking off the Hawaii chapter.
Yeah.
Retreat, which always, it makes it so much easier, I think, for us. We're headed there anyways. What's an extra 3-4 days? But this last one we wanted to do on Maui. It was actually just last month, but we also piggybacked on a Hawaii event that was in Lahaina. And that was the first time just last month that I was on Front Street since the fires. We got exclusive look. No one can go there. Like no one's allowed in there unless you're in YPO or you're in the government, right? So another blessing, but I've never seen 40 grown men and women, that's who I was around, cry so much because it was the first reality of it. And just seeing it in real life, you can see every image you want. Seeing it in real life is just, it's hard to explain really. And the good thing about it is, though, my formate also is the one cleaning it up. So he was able to describe what's happening in Lahaina that people just don't know or assume. But then we extended our retreat right after. So we went from that emotional moment to, we did better go have some fun here. And we did.
All right. So again, thank you for sharing all that. That's phenomenal insight. Thinking about your best only in YPO experience that you've had that you can share, obviously, is there one that rises to the top of your mind?
Yeah, I would say the retreat in Austin was pretty magical. It wasn't for forum or thing. It was with the retail summit. It's pretty magical because we went to a property that I didn't know existed where they have wild animals, exotic animals, and you can hunt and shoot guns out of a helicopter. And I mean, where else are you going to do stuff like that? I didn't know you could have exotic animals in Texas, but supposedly you can do whatever you want in Texas. But this guy has zebras and buffalo, and they're explaining that the reason why they can live there is it's actually on the same line of, I don't know if it's the equator or whatever line that is in Africa. And so I guess they can thrive there. Now, they're not any predator animals. It's all the other ones, but it was like you were in a safari in Texas. And it was just like, it was more of I remember it because it was more of a shock. Like, wow, you can do this. And then, of course, they go on and on about, well, it's Texas. You can do whatever you want. That would come to mind. I'm actually hoping we have an event coming up in Milan next month or 2 months from now that I'm hoping will be at that same level. But yeah, I would say that one comes to mind because I just was shocked to see exotic animals roaming around somebody's property.
Awesome. All right. Anything that I haven't asked you that you feel like you should share, you'd like me to ask you?
Yeah, I would just say that I would like people to know that there's still a lot of struggle in Lahaina on Maui. National news has calmed down as it usually does over time. And like I said, I was just there last month, and it's the second biggest revenue generating environment for the state. Waikiki's number one, Lahaina Front Street was number two. And, just keep that in mind that there's tons of people lost their homes. It was the largest fire, I think, or second in U.S. history. Maybe Chicago was number one. But it's not close to being over, right? There's just still a lot of heartbreak, a lot of people trying to figure out what to do with their lives, how they're going to rebuild, when they're going to be allowed to rebuild. And Hawaii is a much harder place to just say, scrape the ground and rebuild. It doesn't work that way. Lahaina, a lot of people don't realize Lahaina was the original capital of Hawaii. It wasn't Honolulu. It was Lahaina. That was where King Kamehameha established the capital originally. So it's still a very special place, in my opinion, in the world, really. And those people got a long road ahead of them. And I just want people to keep it in the back of their minds. And I also want everyone to know, if you are a Hawaii fan, please visit Maui. I know there's things out there that say, don't come here. No, we need everyone to come. We need the tourism to come. There's Kaanapali still got great resorts and great things to do. Like you mentioned to me earlier, jumping off of Black Rock, or the whales were out of control this year. They were jumping everywhere this year. Yep. Or go to the south side on Wailea. They're thriving. We want people to come. We don't want people to stay away. Maui is open. We've been saying that from day one. We do emphasize responsible tourism. That's the kind of thing we try to say. Don't try to come and get into Front Street. Don't do that, but come and enjoy this magical place. It's one of my favorite places in the world, to be honest. And we want people to visit and come and be a part of the future of Maui, Lahaina, Hawaii.
I was just there literally last week for spring break with the kids, and that was the theme that we felt too, was anybody we talked to that was local, please come. Share. It's okay to come. We need to be respectful, but yes, Maui is very open. We need you. Our jobs are dependent on you. And so I did have a little bit of a fear are we going to feel like outsiders even more? But it was a very welcoming environment. And yeah, there's so many things to do. I mean, it's heartbreaking not be able to take our kids to Lahaina and show them the tree and and it was a really cool environment, and I'm heartbroken that that's gone. But there's so many other things about Maui that are great and amazing. And I jumped off it's at least a 50-foot cliff, right? That I jumped off at Black Rock, right? Yeah. It gets bigger by the day for me. But, the natural beauty and just being outdoors, there's so many things. The whales were phenomenal. The turtles were great. Seeing my kids see a turtle in the ocean swimming for the first time and popping up out of there, being so excited about it. So I would say too, yes, it's a great way to support it. So,
and if YPO people are going to end up watching this, reach out. We'd be happy to do any connections. There's a lot of great YPOers on Maui. I'm wearing a Maui Brewing hat right now. He's a YPO member. He was also on the front line. Actually, he was one of the ones on the front line, and he ran he was giving updates on Instagram and all that of what was going on. And yeah, please reach out. We'd be happy to, share anything that, if you have fear, and this is for anybody, if you have fear of coming and feel like you might be an outsider or people might treat you not a nice way, just reach out. We'd be happy to talk it out and let you know that it's okay. And yes, we do need people back to work. We need the business to come back. We need the restaurants to start thriving. Well, we need all businesses to start thriving. The hotels, most of them are back to 100% availability to visitors. Kaanapali still has about 30%, I think. People still stay in the hotels that are being placed, but they're very close of having everyone placed. So the resorts are basically back open. So yeah, we really need everyone to, if you're a Maui fan, continue to be a Maui fan.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Love it. Love it. Scott, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And I think that people are going to really enjoy this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, Mark. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Aloha.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Fire podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.